Anyone? Mr. Daniel.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Actually,
Would you like to say something?
I couldn't connect in live last class.
Okay.
Who is at the back office? Miracle or who is at the back office? Max-Migold.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good evening, sir. This is Justice.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on there. I'll soon join you guys. Thank you.
Okay, sir. All right. So, who would like to tell us one or two things they took from the last class? I'm still waiting for that.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Innocent. You can go ahead.
The last class on the building fabric and building fabric was able to take home some basic building components. It has to do with floors, walls, roofing, ceiling.
Sorry, sir. I'm not sure anyone can hear you because I can't hear you. Can you be a bit
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. I was trying to say my take home for last class was on different types of doors, ceiling, roof, windows, walls, and roofing. Then that was my take home. And there are different types. Hello.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you very much. Any other person? Just one more person, then we can commence with the class for today. All right, so I guess no other take home from any other person. So the facilitator and commence with the class today.
Hello, good evening all.
Yes, sir.
Justice, how many people do we have on board?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening all. Roughly 12. Okay, it's increasing. Please, can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Right.
I can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, good evening all. Luckily for me, some of you have already taken classes even before mine. And you know the rules of the game. We'll be taking procurement and contract in facility management. I welcome you all to Max-Migold, a place where we build the manpower for facility management and add our own value to both the built-up sector and the general sector of the economy in our own little way. This is where facility management is one of the departments in an organization that is always lost, except in an organization. Practically every organization has facility department and facility management, but in most cases, not all organizations know that they have it. And even when an organization becomes conscious of it and either creates a full-fledged independent department for it, or identifies that there is a part of admin or workers undertaking that, the recognition and the importance of it is hardly there. So with this training, as part of your training, this Max-Migold organized trainings, we intend, or the intent is for us to promote ourselves. The intent is to do things in ways that will speak for us. Organizations boast with their finance departments, HR department, marketing department, but in true sense, between me and you guys, how many organizations boast with their facility management department? That is, if they even recognize its existence at all. Maybe just the big ones. Let's say people like maybe Shell, banks. But in the majority are the medium and the low level organizations that still have them, but they don't and they can't and they do not boast with the facility department as they boast with other departments. I see facilities are like a subject in university, a subject like economics, that every other social science don't seem to understand. They lean on it simply because you could finish from another department, accounting, and you are richer, you make more money, you make more noise, you are more recognized than somebody who read that economics. But if you do not come with that economic intelligence, probably the account will probably not stand on its own. So in some organizations boast with their marketing department, finance department, HR, other departments, but not realizing that no matter how beautiful the workspace, no matter how much salary you pay to the marketer, no matter what the managing director is receiving, no matter how many contracts the organization wins, no matter how many briefs are given to them, no matter how beautiful their services are, if their facilities do not function well, they can never deliver efficient services or even produce the desired products at the right time, put it at the right place, at the right price, that will give them profit. So I am trying to buttress all these points to make you understand how important facility management is. And you, as a facilities personnel, I want you to please promote yourself, assert yourself, and get to the point where you will dictate the tone and let your importance be recognized positively. Welcome on board. Procurement and contract and facility management. I am Obiora Anyanwu. Good. You go through all this. I believe you will have all this so that we don't waste time. We have quite a number of slides to go through in a space of 2 hours max, and we have almost 55 or so, slide 52 plus our naturally designed discussions that flow into it. So your housekeeping, you know, course objective, you should know. So let's move in straight to introduction, which is under the module 1. My system seems to be funny today. So let's see how we go. I welcome you to procurement and contract in facility management. The facility management contract and procurement course consists of 2 major elements that work together to give relevance to contract, procure, and procurement processes in an organization or business concern. Those 2 elements are procurement processes and contract execution and monitoring. Why is it these 2? Because procurement is actually a process. The difference between procurement and purchase is simply that you can go and buy things over the counter. Sorry, how many of you were in the free training last week on this? Did any of you participate? Hello, Saz and Mas. Am I audible? Justice, am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay. All right, let's flow. Since I would have loved just to be more interactive, but no problem. Now, procurement, this is the administrative process of acquiring goods and services needed by a business concern. It is a necessity primarily determined by the nature and size of a business concern. You go, that's why I asked how many of you were in the free training of last week. Now you go into a car dealership. You want to buy 10 vehicles for your office. It's common. You take maybe drivers. Let's even reduce it to 2 vehicles. Drivers, you know the amount you want to buy. You pay for it, test drive. The company issues you receipt. The seller issues you receipt, and off you go. That is, you just effectively executed a purchase. But when you are going to get those 2 vehicles and your organization tells you to undertake contracts for those 2 vehicles, contract that will outline things like the expected, if used properly, the expected years the vehicle is supposed to serve you, the warranty on top of it, the accessories in the vehicles, the service time required, the time that services will be needed and all that. And that you should document all these. Those are two different, the same vehicles, bought from the same dealership by a willing buyer, a willing seller and a willing buyer, but two different procedures. The second procedure is where the procurement comes in. And once that procurement comes in, because those are not things that under the initial purchase, a gentleman's agreement can agree for everything. Okay, if the car has this problem, call us and all this and all that. Good. But once you go into procurement processes, contract comes in. The same, okay, if the car gets problem, call us, is also embedded in your procurement, but in this time, it is written in black and white. And it is not only written that, look, when the vehicle has problem, call us. It is written at the times of the days that the seller will attend to you when you call. And it's written plain and clear for how many years that service is rendered before it is renewed. It is written the capacity and capability of the technicians that will attend to those vehicles. It is written in that document that if the vehicle has problem, whether you, the buyer, must bring the vehicle to the workshop, or they, the seller, will come and retrieve the vehicle on themselves. Now, all these nitty-gritties put down brings you to contracts. So now, a contract, you can start procurement process without even realizing that you have started procurement process. But the moment you start a procurement process, either consciously or unconsciously, contract falls in automatically, becomes part of it, because anything written and signed against becomes a contract, a binding contract. So that's why these two, under procurement, that's why it goes pari passu with contract. You must always discuss the two. Contract execution and monitoring, which is indispensable to procurement processes as it gives legal relevance and guide to the process. It is automatically activated once a business entity, consciously or unconsciously, activates procurement process. Please, what I have read and what I've explained, is it understood?
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's understood. It's understood.
No problem. No problem. I understand. Let's flow. And maybe at the end of the day, hopefully we'll have enough time. Now, the question is, why procurement process? Why does it concern a facility manager? A facility manager might not even see or notice that the reason why procurement process concerns him and the reason why he has to take part in it is because of the profit and loss of the company. Now, once you set up a facility department, that's why I started by giving people a little bit preamble about facility department and facility personnel. They are important and they are not important. Once a procurement process is activated, whether the facility manager likes it or not, the ball drops on his table at the end of the day. Mind you, you might not even be a part of the team that activated or undertook the procurement. You might not be a part of the team or might not be the one who also activated or undertook the contracts for that. What do I mean? As a facility manager, you could be employed in a company today that's already running all this. You just have to fall into line. So it's important that you understand. So the moment you go in and they are telling you things about how they manage their materials, how they manage their raw material, how they manage the production line, how they want to run things timely. Why chronology is important so that their aircrafts can move. If they have said their flights take off every 1 hour, you must know how to run things to make sure that fuel, spare parts, even the personnel are on cue to move every 1 hour. They don't want to ask you whether you knew about this before or not. You came in and you see the process on ground already. Unconsciously, facilities personnel do not know or care about the profit and loss of a company. In fact, the facilities department, that is also one of the reasons why facilities is not all that popular. Facilities department are the only department licensed to spend money. You will spend money to maintain. You will spend money to service. You spend money to replace. You spend money to acquire. Nobody expects you to make profit in the facility department. But hello, guys, your actions and your activities must reflect in the profit and loss of the organization. That is why this course is important to you. On the long run, if the company is making profit, they will increase your salary. They will give you more benefits. You have more TGIFs, and that is the fact. On the long run, if the company is making a loss, they will reduce your salary. They might even lay you off. They might even shut down your department totally. So as facility personnel, it is important that you be conscious and keep your mind on what keeps this organization flowing. Even if it's your own personal company, even if you're working in a company where you do not like the environment, a toxic company, so long as you are the facilities guy, you must not be seen as the one that led to the final shutdown of the organization. So these are pointing to the roads. To know the road, the direction, and the destination of the organization's financial journey, which might not concern you. What concerns me with the finance? Well, I'm not in the accounts, I'm not in the treasury, I don't touch the amount. All I know is maintain. You maintain the estate to run, but you know you spend money. How effectively are you spending? Nobody says don't spend. So please tune your mind to what we are here today for. It is you, and you, the facilities personnel. As we are taking this lecture today, know that the survival and death of the organization is now lying on your head. Forget that the organization has a managing director, it has a CEO, it has an owner, it has a finance department, it has the HR department. Just believe today that the survival of this organization is on your head, and that is why you're taking this course. Is part of what you're taking. What is procurement? Procurement is the systematic process by which an organization reaches formal contracts for the purchase of goods and or services. It is different from purchasing, which is the specific buying activity or the placing of orders. Procurement is an indispensable process, well pronounced under the supply chain management. It directly impacts cost control, risk mitigation, and the overall financial performance of an organization. By ensuring the right items are obtained at the right time, the right quantity, and with the right quality standards. It is a process that evolves in business organizations based on the size or nature of the organization's activities. You might be a small ISP provider, but I mean, your manpower in your office might not be more than 5 or 10 people. It is online, it's cloud. But a company that has about 50 people on their services might not have the need to always undergo procurement and contracts. But if an ISP that has only 5 people working on the cloud, working remotely and all that, is servicing something like a bank that deals with OPM, other people's money, there's no way you will not have a contract binding you and that bank. So you see the nature of the work you are doing. Though your manpower, your person, even you could be an individual running a one-man business, but the nature of the business, the services you render, will require that there will be things written down in black and white. Again, an organization that started with maybe 5 people, 10 people, no matter what services it's rendering, by the time other organization is getting to 20, 50 people, 100. Let's say a law firm, for example. All we know is they talk law, they do law and all that. But by the time they expand to 50 people and all that, you know that it has become a business organization that, due to its size, it has to departmentalize. And I won't be surprised if facilities and purchase facilities department is carved out, then a different department for purchases is carved out. Even warehouse department is carved out. So the nature of your business and the size plays a crucial part on when you activate procurement and contract. Why procurement process? In that procurement, there are processes that must be involved. There are processes you must identify and undertake. Because your target is to have the right product at the right time, at the right price, which equals to value for money, which gives us that also our profit and loss. For every little thing you add to the organization, it must add to value to that organization. Now, the processes that you have to identify or take note of are to maximize cost effectiveness and achieve the best value for money. Spend less, get the best. Cost control all falls into that. Manage costs, allocate costs efficiently based on what is needed. To prevent unwary would-be purchases. When you do not have procurement process, any department A stands up and they need 10 reams of papers. Department B on their own, they need 5 reams of papers. Nobody cares. Nobody is controlling anything. Nobody is centralizing anything, simply because there are printers domiciled in those different departments does not give them a right to duplicate purchases. Confirm with all applicable laws and regulations. There are both local, state, and government laws. These are external laws that determines what a company can do and cannot do. In the same way, internally, the office manual, office regulations are laws and regulations internally. Do you purchase things without doing market survey? Does the facility manager have the power to request, approve, pay, and even confirm execution of contracts? Ask yourself, it's definitely not possible and shouldn't be. So confirm with all applicable laws and regulations. Treat all prospective suppliers and their representatives fairly and impartially. We'll talk more on that. But simply, give everybody opportunity. It's your brother, you are the facility manager, but your brother supplies, is good in supplying laptops and all that. Hello, let him quote and give other people's opportunity to quote, and you must be fair. We'll still get to that. Reduce procurement process costs and ensure continuous improvement. By the time you establish a process, and it is effective, it impacts positively on the organization. Anybody coming in, anybody can pick it up and run with it. You don't have to come in and reinvent the wheel. When you leave the organization tomorrow, or as you move in rank from that position, anybody following you, anybody following your, seeing what you have laid down, we know that, in fact, merely looking at your processes that you have produced, will know if you want the progress or failure of the organization. Adhere to organizational policies such as sustainability, diversity, equality, and workforce issues. There are policies that guide all that and all fall under procurement. There is no way you want to sustain an organization that there are no process of acquiring goods and services. The same thing when you diversify or even you open branches and all that, there are standards, there are things, there are regulations that must be followed to equip them, to make them run. Equality, you must treat all equally. And workforce issues, HR issues handled well. Sometimes they fall on the desk of facility personnel. Undertaken in accordance with high professional standards and ethics. By the time you finish going through this course today, you will know that you will assess yourself what you have been doing or what you want to do if you are going into facility management, if you have been doing it professionally and with high ethics, no matter who is concerned. Doesn't matter if the head of department of marketing had annoyed you yesterday. Maybe they wanted to go with 2 vehicles from the carpool, and you, the facility manager, said, no, I'm allocating only 1 car. Exchange with hot water and all this and all that. You don't bring it to the functionality. You don't bring it to the process of achieving success for the organization. You iron it out professionally. Develop management information and the use of performance measures of procurement. That's one of the processes you must put in place. So when you execute procurement or anything, there must be a process of you professionally not only informing but advising management. There are different levels of procurement. You have direct procurement, which involves you being should I use the word relationship with the direct producer or direct sellers. You don't go through middlemen for anything. Your raw materials, your equipment to maintain your machineries, your cement to maintain your estates and everything. You have indirect procurement where it involves obtaining resources indirectly. There are some services that you cannot render, you might not be able to render, or you might not be able to execute as a facilities personnel. You have no choice but to bring those who are professionals in those lines. So you also have no choice to buy or procure services and equipment through them, because either your organization does not have the capability or the capacity to go directly to procure those things. And also, in most cases, some service providers and equipment producers will tell you they do not send to end users. You must go through their agents who are licensed. They know what they are doing. They're protecting their own rights. Good. And then under that direct and indirect procurement, you have goods procurement and you have services procurement, which are simple to understand. Now you have a procurement cycle. What does it mean? It means no matter what it is. Also, mind you, I use the car dealership as an example. Mind you, it does not matter the quantity of the goods you want to take. If the organization or management decision is that you should activate procurement processes, you have no choice than to do that. But you will be in a position to advise if you have gone through this course. Now, the procurement process starts from, most importantly, identifying the needs. As a facility manager, like I said, everything on the organization, even to the foundation of the building, lies on you. You're managing the building, you're managing the structure, you're managing the security, you're managing the equipment. Nothing stops account department coming to you as a facility manager and saying, look, our tables are bad. We need new tables. Mark the word, new tables. Nothing stops them from requesting for that. Nothing stops them from requesting for 10 tables if there are 10 personnel in that same account department. Now, what is your own part as facility manager First of all, it hits you. Can the space allocation for accounts take 10 people? Now, if the company constrained to deploy these 10 people, maybe there's a contract coming in, maybe there is auditing that a big company wants to give them and they need these 10 personnel. Yes, account department is right to say, we are bringing 10 personnel, we need 10 tables and 10 chairs. Hello, facility manager, go and check the space allocation for account department. Can it accommodate 10 people? No problem. If you can accommodate 10 people, did they really need 10 tables and chairs? It is left to you to go there, do your own due diligence as a facility personnel to look, yes, this space can accommodate 10 people. But if I deploy 10 tables, I will compromise the safety in this place in case of eventuality. Now that brings you to the other angle. What kind of table exactly? Is it an L-shaped workstation that you need to deploy? What if you deploy one long bench-like table like they use in bars? Will it be better? Will it create more space? All those responsibilities fall on you. So you must identify the needs. Market research. Where are you going to get those things that are needed? Who can give you this service? Who can offer you this service? The sewage system in the estate that you're managing is not functioning well. You must look for people who can do it, not one person. You do a research. You also compare, you consult other organizations. How have you been dealing with this kind of issue? The organization says, look, we are going to acquire 2 aeroplanes. What volume of aeroplane? What do they want to use it for? Are they going to airline business, or is it for private jet use? Then because you saw, you know that in America, they always have planes to sell. Hello. India too have planes. They might not be manufacturing, but might have planes too. Switzerland might have planes. In fact, a fellow country in Africa, Egypt, South Africa, might have planes they want to dispose that are still in good condition. I'm going too far, but that is it. You must do your market research. I'm trying to cover all fields because I do not know which ones you fall into or which environment you are operating from. Supplier evaluation and selection, you must check for the suppliers that are capable of doing these jobs. You must not restrict yourself to one supplier, no matter how well the person, how efficient the person is. Negotiation, you negotiate. Mind you, this is a critical point, but you must do your own ground job first. If you're running a Tasty Fried Chicken branch in the Ikoyi, and they've done the assessment, the cook, the stewards, the cooks in the kitchen have said that we need 10 bags of tomatoes every day. And each bag costs 1 naira each. Hello, we are buying in quantity 10. Why must each bag cost us 1 naira each? Let's negotiate. Let's have some discounts. Then you go to the contract formulation. I always advise facility personnel, if under the contract formulation, whether you were part of the contract or not, if you have a legal department or legal secretary, I always advise, go and revise. If you enter an organization where that document is already, the contract document is already existing, take somebody along that understands and review it yourself. Try to understand. You must understand what you are going to operate. Because in most cases, in fact, the contract might be drawn up by the legal department totally without your input, and they just drop it on your table. Review and control. In this case, you must review everything and control usage. Control even the supply. Monitor everything. All this falls under monitoring. So that that also brings you complete your procurement life cycle. Now, understand that procurement life cycle are not static. Depend on the environment you are working in. These options might increase or might reduce. Now, in your procurement, we have 2 factors that, in most cases, determine what we do. how we go about it. And that is insourcing and outsourcing. Because you're a facility manager, you have your own office, you have your department, does not restrict you. Remember the beginning, I said everything is leaning on the facilities. Everything is leaning on the facilities. And in fact, there are some responsibilities that are unconsciously transferred to facilities. If you fall into that category, you can't say no. You must be able to answer presence in everything to a certain level. In some organizations, the IT department is defined, and everything, every expenses concerning IT, their hardware, their software, their cloud-based, their backup is initiated and executed by the IT personnel. Hello, in some organizations, everything concerning hardware is under the facilities department. Supposing your own case is like that. So now let's take your own cases like that. You now, to maintain the systems. Let's say you are working in an organization where they deploy a big organization, over 100 laptops or 100 desktops and all this and all that. You are now caught between, and you have a full-fledged IT department. An IT department must consist of both hardware and software engineers, or the hardware and software know-how personnel. So the question is, for me to maintain these systems effectively, do I use the personnel on ground? Do I outsource, have a contractor, external contractor that will maintain them? Which is better? You weigh the options. And these are the reasons why, or the reasons that can help you choose what you want. In the insourcing, in-house is a situation where a business concern depends on its internal capacity and process to manage its procurement processes internally. It deploys its employees to achieve its target. Simple, basic, sounds fun, beautiful, no problem. And outsourcing of procurement processes entails the sourcing of procurement capacity from external sources. The business entity engages external company with the professional ability to undertake part or all of the procurement responsibilities needed by the organization. Good. Now you are you are in the middle of the sea. Which do you go for? We will learn. Procurement management, the same. The benefits of in-house service provision includes, so that you know, the organization retains direct and complete control. So of your costs, of your personnel, everything is done internally. And the cross checks and balances are more in an organized organization. Check and balances are good. In some organizations, procurement is under facility management. But evaluation of procurement is under finance or auditing department. So irrespective of what, you have check and balances in such an organization. No conflict of loyalty or perceived conflict of loyalty between clients, your employer, and contracts, your labor force. So if you're using your internal staff, internal personnel to do that, render that service to you, it means they are your property. I mean, your employee is your employee. There's a contract of employment which tells everything. You cannot use my trade secret, take it out. Let's say the IT system that you're maintaining, you cannot take information you come across there outside because you are internal. Early in the morning, you come to the office, you answer, sir. You close in the evening, you go. All your attention and your professionalism is centered on making this organization work. And we call the shots because we pay the salary. The limitations to that. Management is unlikely to be knowledgeable. The problem, what that is saying is that by the time evolution in science in manpower administration, and other things are happening outside. Because you are contented with what you have internally. That's zeal. I'm happy today you are all here taking this course. Either you personally or your organization allowed you to come out and take this course. In some organizations, they will not take. And that's why in most organizations, you have obsolete equipment that they are battling with because nobody has gone out to know that, look, this equipment you are using has even become obsolete. There are better ones outside there. And the knowledge to manage them has changed. Specialist training is unlikely to be available, which is what we have just discussed. You might not send people, you might not have the urge to send people for training because you are comfortable. When you come every day, your door is opened. You come every day, your office, your table, everything is ready. Why bother? But there are situations where you will bother. They're gonna learn the hard way. The work may be carried out when core business management or supervision is not on site because your personnel understands you. There's water leakage. And they've told you, the plumber, your in-house plumber have told you that it will cost 20,000 naira. They're going to buy elbow, 20 pieces of elbow. They're going to buy nipples. They're going to buy tea. All this they make, and give them money to execute that. They might probably delay until you have closed for the day because they'll give you the reason that they cannot start knocking and damaging doing things when tenants are already in the building there, or when people are in the office, that they will do it after that. But how are you sure what you are paid for is what they are bringing? How are you sure the work they are giving you meets the standard and quality that you demand? Recruitment and absence cover can be a major problem. What are you recruiting? You might even recruit based on, I know him. But you know him, you have recruited, you have covered for him. Is he really good at that job? You know him. Can you say how he will withstand pressure in a different environment? There are additional costs which may be hidden costs naturally. Because it's done internally, one person can cover for another. Meanwhile, it's costing the organization so much money. And because you do not go outside to have an external contractor who executes that, whatever the internal people tell you is what you agree. So this helps you to determine if you do insourcing or outsourcing. But major reasons for outsourcing, it reduces the headcount. You don't bother yourself whether your staff is at work today or it's not. Now, if you have work strength of 5 people, and rules and regulations demand that once you have up to 5 people, you must have medical insurance for them. You must pay NSI, ITF, whatever, this and that. Good. What if a situation where you do not have up to 5 people? You will not bother with that. It reduces costs. It reduces the head count. It helps concentrate on the core business. It helps concentrate on the core business. Your organization has 5 ACs, your conference room ACs, maybe 2 or 3 are bad. All you need to do is call the outsourced contractor who is in charge of that. Then you face your other business, face your other work. The person you pay maintenance, you have activated to come and maintain it. It gives you room. You can even leave the office and travel. Before you come back, it is done. You know it is done. With less wahala. So it allows you to concentrate on the core business. Buy in the provider's core business. This comes to a situation where you assess the companies that have been servicing you. If a company, there have been situations where, let's take the air conditioner again. I'll come to a situation where one man company that services air conditioners. You call him today, he's in Edo. You call him tomorrow, he's in Ibadan. I call him today. If you know he is good, nothing stops you from buying his business, investing in his business. It becomes part of your own business. It becomes part of your organization. In that way, it's actually always at your beck and call. And you have shares in his own business, or Sell shares of your own business to the person. Acquire expertise not available in-house. We have discussed that. It helps you have knowledge and expertise of what is happening and the evolutions outside. Access to experts normally. The people that you call from us are always improving themselves. And because they move from place to place, they see new things. They acquire new knowledge, unlike your own internal staff. Improved resource flexibility allows you to, just like I said, it gives you room to face your main business. It improves resource flexibility. What you would have, if you had 10 people that are internally, your plumber, 2 people, your electrical, 2 people, your air conditioner engineers, 2 people. You must make provision. You must make provision for them to pay their salary at the end of the month. You must make provision for their health insurance. You must make provision for their dressing allowance, everything. But when you are sourced, you now use those things flexibly. You put them, maybe if you had budgeted or you have management decision is that in the next 2 years we'll have a branch. With all those reduced costs in manpower and all that, you can have your branch in 1 year. Access to investments or systems that would require capital that cannot be justified in the host organization. There are equipment that are used for rendering services. Even in production line, there are breweries that do not have production line that do not have breweries. There are organizations that do not have, they outsource them. Outsource total production line out. And it's working for them because it's outsourcing. Those people care about maintaining their machinery. All you know is that, look, I need this quantity of products shipped out. I do not know if most of you know that most of our televisions, majority of them are produced by one company, branded for different people. Let's not go far. Free up management time to focus on strategic issues and planning. Now, how do we manage this procurement issue? Under purchasing, purchasing provides more flexibility. Simply go and come. It doesn't take you time and it doesn't warrant you racking your brains on things. Property can appreciate in value and may provide a buffer during times of inflation. If you purchase your own property, you have your own property. When prices of properties increase in Lekki, definitely your own will increase. But if you rented it, which is more like outsourcing your accommodation, you have no control. Whether it increases or not, you will pay rather than get in. So these are the good aspects that will make you decide. What we are talking here is the facility manager's ability to advise management when it comes to purchase or procurement. In purchases, outright ownership, you go buy it and pay. In procurement, you can even go into procurement contract of lease. Look, our organization are running e-hailing services, taxis. We do not want to buy 100 vehicles and put on the road, no matter how good or honest the drivers are. We want to hire them. We want to hire them. So you hire the vehicles and you run your business. The vehicles aren't yours. But when you buy those 100 vehicles outrightly, of course, you can decide to ground all of the 100 of them at a time, sack all the drivers. The vehicles are yours. When you purchase outrightly, it gives you buffer during times of inflation, when there are problems and all that. In some organizations during COVID, some organizations shut down. And in the process of COVID, their rents expired. But organizations that owned their own properties didn't really bother. Once the COVID was over, they moved in straight. If physical workplace was necessary. Now, those of you who must have treated life cycle in, I think, in finance management or so, if you have, you will know that own property life cycle costs are generally less than the lease own. In the lease property, if you have an issue structurally on the wall, you pay. Even if you make the owner to pay, on the long run, either in the rent or in service costs, you will pay for it. And you cannot really determine. Now, when you're leasing preserves capital. It leaves you with, now, like I said, the e-hailing service. For you to have coughed up money to buy 100 vehicles, you can think about it, what it costs. But meanwhile, you lease the vehicles at a lesser cost, and you use the resources that you have left to do other things. So leasing preserves your capital to execute or allocate to other areas. Leasing offers agility, gives you more room to be more efficient, gives you more room to face things. Leasing provides entry into state-of-the-art facility. You want to move, any of us today that wants to buy a house or anything, we want to buy it in an estate, maybe Banana Island and all this and all that. Those are places that you have state-of-the-art. Sorry, any of us that want to lease, those are places that have the state-of-the-art because you want to belong. Your company, you want your company in a centralized place so that your, transportation, your raw material sourcing, your marketing, your products movement can be easy and can reach all targets from a centralized place. Leasing provides the ability to negotiate terms, which also falls under you spending less when you lease a property or anything. Leasing normally starts from 3 years upwards. Now, the decisions are based on decision on which one you do. Do you purchase or do you lease? The decision is based on costs of alternative decisions, which is the facility manager's responsibility. We want a 3-story building. You must check across. What does one in Trulere cost? And what does one in Ikoyi cost? Make those alternatives, outline the advantages and disadvantages, present it before management. Organizations' relative cash and tax position also determines. Now, if you have a car, if you have a landed property in Lekki, the tax, land use charge you pay, and all that will definitely be higher than what you pay in Ikorodu. So you must consider the tax that's imposed there, and then the cash available. Is the cash enough? You want to set up an industry that produces baby foods, and you have done market survey and done your costing and all that. You find out that it will take you 10 million. 10 million to build the factory and start at least the initial production. But you also find out that if you lease an existing factory, you can lease an existing factory for 5 million. So you find out that not only will you be able to start production under the remaining 5 million, you will be able to deploy your manpower. You'll be able to deploy your logistics, advertise your products. So which is better? Anticipate term of use. Now, there are properties that if you buy your own property, you buy it outrightly, you are the one that will determine what you do with it. But when you lease, you must lease based on the conditions. The owner of a property has a right to come into that property and inspect it at any point in time. If it's a property of, 2-story building, you do not have the right, if you leased it, you do not have the right, even if your organization requires it, that you need to add 2 more floors so that you can accommodate either your business line or your manpower line. So it is facility manager that can determine to an extent what management road should take. Asset risk management factors. You look at the asset risk, what is the risk involved in this property, and especially in the management of it. What are the insurance? What is even the state of the property at that particular time? Need for flexibility, like we just discussed. If you want to increase the number of the floors, can you? Setting the stage for outsourcing, for you to outsource, if you really want to outsource. These are the things that you should consider. Definition of objective and key attributes of service required. Description of current arrangement. What are you doing now? Why do you need to outsource? What do you need from the outsource contractors or producers that you cannot already do internally? Adequate documentation. Facility managers must love to put pen to paper. I know our license as facility manager are nail and hammer, but we must also learn to pick the biro and paper. Identification of special demands, uniqueness of the services. Identification of high priority services and risk assessment of these areas. A military institution or a secret service agent will not give contract to anybody to go and procure the ammunition. It has to be special. It has to be unique. Consideration of flexibility and availability in demands. With the demand that you do now, with what you have now, in the next 6 months or 1 year, will it demand that the same attention that you pay to it, the same way of servicing you need, will be sustained in the next 2 to 3 years that will make you outsource the services. Appropriate bid evaluation criteria. Everybody that you are going to use, whoever you're going to use, they must bid. And you must evaluate them. Soft and hard measures and comparison of all costs, because you're heading to the profit and loss alarms of the organization. Procurement process. There are steps in procurement process. It's just a little bit, like I said, the initial graph we looked at, you could increase it depending on what you do in your own organization. You see, you identify the requirements. Source for suppliers and service providers, selection of suppliers, and so on and so forth. They're all lined up there. What it means is that based on what you are doing and based on the needs, on what is going to happen, you can increase these processes. You can identify these processes and increase them. Source of supplier qualification exercise. This we breeze through. The purpose is to measure each supplier. The legal identity of an organization matters. It must be a registered organization that is you're supplying you the goods or services. The company ownership, those that own it, do they have police records? They have conviction in the court. There's a real estate company now that the boss was crying on TV the other day because he was given a contract, he was mobilized more than 50%, he could not deliver. So that's why these kind of things are important. Will you want to patronize that? Will you want to leave your own organization or your own company in the hands of people like that in future? Suppliers' financial strength. There are organizations that have the policy that when they give you a contract, they only give you 50%. And when you finish the contract and deliver and you're satisfied, in fact, some say the contracts you delivered will last for 3 months minimum. To make sure there are no defects and all that, then they pay you the balance. Now, if you are engaging a contractor and the contract sum is 10 naira, you say, I'll pay 5 naira. Because based on the resume that the contractor has submitted, the contractor has done many contracts, has been in business for years. He has the capability. So if you give that contractor a contract of 10 naira and you say, I'm paying only 5 naira upfront, the contractor should be in a position, if all he says he is what he is, should be in a position to have the 50% in his order to complete that contract. Then you are satisfied, you know you are in good hands. Because as much as you pay 50% to mobilize and the contract will finish, the same way you could pay 100% and the company will collapse. That contractor will vanish. You will not recover your money. Level of insurance cover necessary. patronize organizations and contractors that have insurance. Because for you to have insurance, you must be legally registered. Technical competence, they must be able. Is there a difference between Julius Berger and the bricklayer in Surulere? Client references, who reference them? Where have they worked before? Number of contracts and staff that they have. If you're giving me a contract to construct a 6-kilometer road and you want me to deliver it in 6 months, it's only normal that you find out the manpower I have on ground, the technicalities I have on ground to execute such contracts. And if you're not satisfied, you take it somewhere else. You advise management. I'm saying all this because all these can fall on the table of the facility manager. You are either one pioneering the team, the committee to execute all this, or it has been executed and put in motion and dropped on your table for you to manage. Client reference, well, a number of contracts that the person or the organization or the firm has, successfully completed and delivered. You go and make reference, you ask for references, and then you contact those organizations. You even go out of your way physically to visit the sites. Safety records, insurance claims, litigation records. And there are people that when they see the litigation record of an organization, they will say, these ones are good. They have not been having much litigations. And the ones they have are authentic. I mean, it's really hard to get to that level. There are some litigation issues that are just variation of contracts. But the court has to approve it. That does not mean it's a negative litigation. Their industrial relations record, how have they been relating? In fact, there are organizations that will not allow the facility personnel to undertake courses and tests and exams in facility management. And their personnel are not feeling good about it. If you are aware of that, you hear that, you will not want to recommend such organizations, because if you were not trained, you will not be in a position to want to hire them. Quality assurance procedures. It must be a company that follows quality assurance. If they do not have internal quality assurance, they will not be able to, administer external quality assurance on the job they are servicing you. You have to establish approved supplier list, contractor list. And once you do this, everybody follows through. And the good thing about this is that you do not have to be looking for a new contractor or a new supplier at every point in time. You do not have to. Now, on the invitation to tender, there are things that you must look out when you are asking, you are trying to engage contractors. After shortlisting, only a limited number of suppliers, so that you can manage those you have to assess. And this shortlisting, the facility personnel must do before you submit to management for their own further shortlisting and assessment. Suppliers should submit their tenders, questionnaires, and support documents by a certain time and date. Everything they are tender, there must be time to start and time to stop. And even the supplier themselves might have requirements from you. I've seen a situation where a company gave contract to another company to execute. After the execution, pay us money. The company that awarded the contract said, we'll pay you, but we need your documentation. And part of it, the requirement, is your safety records. It's not that they didn't do the job. So you must be conscious as a facility personnel of the things you request or you look out for when selecting your suppliers. Any submission should not be accepted beyond specific deadline. The tender should be kept sealed. Neutrality. If you don't expose, people are guilty of, you ask a supplier to give you quote to construct 15 bungalows, complete total cost. He gives you. You ask another contractor to give you, and then maybe this one give you a cost, the 15 bungalows will cost 15 naira. You ask another contractor to give you, and that one tells you it will cost 20 naira to construct 15 bungalows. Everything from here. You ask another one, he tells you, it will cost 25. Now, the situation is one of the contractors that has quoted higher than the 15 naira for 15 bungalows is somebody you like, it's your brother, or it's your friend, and you want to give him that contract. It is unethical for you to tell him. No, it is right for you to tell him that, look, our budget line is 15 naira, but it's unethical for you to reveal what the initial contractor has given to you as his own contract to that person. Let's be careful. Tender must be kept sealed and opened when it's supposed to be opened. This confidentiality is required for all major contracts. The criteria to select your contractors: lowest response bid. It's a straightforward, based on the lowest bidder who can meet the specified requirements. The lowest bidder does not necessarily mean the cheapest, or does not necessarily mean that we give you fake China products. Of course, nowadays we all know that even those products that we are saying we are not China, both the original and the fake, we are coming from the same source. It's typically used for reorders, routine and well-defined user requirements. That's why it is good for you to set a template as a facility personnel, so that you can easily look into, okay, who can do this, who can do this, when was this done, or what could this be? Plus or minus, if I add to the cost now, will it be too? You can project with that. Evaluate the best value for money. Vendors are rated against the floor, and mostly based on the evaluation of technical criteria as well as bid price. Best value. The unique service. This is a contract that you do not take to anybody. If you are running a nuclear plant, for example, you cannot give out contracts to people who have no knowledge of nuclear facilities. It is just not possible. You have a special service that you want to render, special profession. For example, you cannot ask a carpenter to come and be your programmer or be your IT head. You will go to companies that offer such contracts. Contract execution and monitoring. Contract execution is the process of implementing a contract, mostly a written agreement, which has been accepted by both parties, signed and approved as appropriate by all authorized parties involved, both you awarding the contract and the contractor that will execute it. There are different types of facility management contracts. Fixed price, also known as lump sum contract. This contract sets a fixed price for products or service. You can't vary the cost of that contract. Cost reimbursement. This buyer pays the seller for the actual cost of the project plus a fee. These are most of the contracts that are given to sourcing. There are goods and services you cannot source, maybe locally, and then you award the contract out. The person takes flight or shipping, whatever means. Indefinite delivery quantity line item. The contract requires the contractor to provide a minimum amount of work, and any additional work ordered must be within a stated maximum time limit. National buy. A contract where goods and services are contracted out based on a countrywide pre-approved list of vendors, in most cases used by chain stores and chain organizations, so that a particular vendor that has the outreach can supply them. Open book. A contract in which the service or goods provider is open in the financial and technical implication of the contract. Nothing is hidden. Open day shall, according to us. Labor hour, time, and materials are per hour. Most of us at Japa, that's what we do. We work per hour. We deliver service per hour, and we are paid per hour. Now the question is, when and why contracts in facility management? When and why do we even need contracts in facility management? We are going to see two main types of contracts that are very, very essential in facility management. They can be used anywhere and all that, but facility management has found that those two types of contracts are important. One is service level management contracts, and the other is performance-based management contracts. But the question is, why do we even need them? When do you need it? And you need it in managing a large facility. I've just said it. Your services or the size of your organization will determine when you need to draw up a contract. In bundling services, in a situation where, for example, one contractor is the one that supplies your cleaners, your security, your dispatch, etc., etc. These are different contracts being undertaken by one contract. Maybe because your organization or you, even the facility manager, will be overwhelmed if these are put under you. So you bundle this kind of contract under one service provider who provides all this and is responsible for them. It's also good. So when you want to, administer punishment, you go straight to one point. You also need it when you need to meet legal and regulatory compliances. When the laws require that you should do this or do that, the contract needs to come into effect. Retainership for constant maintenance. Most organizations have equipment and things that need to be maintained always. For example, you have a hotel that has 100 air conditioners, 100 rooms, 100 air conditioners. Hello, it's only normal that you have a contract for retainership. You retain somebody who will be in charge of maintaining those air conditioners. And there are many reasons. HVAC people will know. To abide by environmental social governance. When you have to get into contract, your organization must work in ways that are conducive and friendly with the environment. Environmental impact assessment. But your continuous operation must not affect the environment. There's a social contract. There are legal contracts. You must not do this, you must not do that to the environment. You want to establish your filling station here, you must not establish it in a situation where you have residential areas around. You are coming newly to an estate to establish a school. Whatever you do, there must be a level of noise tolerable in that estate. Now, why do you need contracts? You have determined when you need it. Why do you need it? One, to avoid misunderstanding. Because when there is that contract, for you to even draw up a contract, it means already that the goods and services required are a bit complicated. They're not simple. So misunderstanding can arise. You need it to set out and understand payment terms and penalties. Money is always a problem. You need it. When the contractor comes says, pay me, you have to know if the contractor has done the job that's required and is being paid at the right time. Quality too. Contracts help set measurable performance standards. You can, with contracts, following it line by line, you can measure. You have a contract to build a school and you want to open that school by next year, May. And you have said, look, in the next 6 months, I want 6 classrooms completed before we move. It's only in contract that can help you. Because in that 6 months, you are also ready to pay certain amounts. Even if you're not ready, the contractor might demand and say, look, we have achieved up to this level, pay us. How do you determine that what the quality and work they do if not through contract? Provides legal resources in case of dispute. Within contract, there are outlines how you settle your differences. Whether you go to court in Nigeria or go to court outside, whether you even involve the court, it's also outlined there. You could involve alternative dispute resolutions in different ways. It elevates organizational management to the level of trust and professionalism. An organization that works in tandem with rules and regulations, everybody will be happy to patronize that organization. You will even be happy to work in such an organization because you know you are covered by employment rules, you're covered by the environmental rules, you are covered by the government rules, you are also covered by internal working mechanism. And one of such contracts is performance-based facility management contract. It is a contract agreed and drafted in such a way that every level of execution automatically exposes the key performance indicators that evaluates outcome against cost. Performance-based, what have you done? I want let's go back again to our 6-kilometer road. I want 6 kilometers road. I want it delivered in 6 months. Hello, you have the right after 1 month to go and see. If in 1 month you see that truly these guys have delivered 1 kilometer quality road of what you want, if they knock on your door and say, mobilize us again, you'll be more than happy. Or if in 1 month you go and it's excuses and even you are disappointed. Now, types of performance-based contracts. You have the outcome-based contract. Now, I want you to know under types of performance-based contracts, you have outcome-based contracts, incentive-based contracts, integrated contracts, live performance contracts, task-based performance contracts, different types. But the issue is that they can flow into each other. They can even move from one totally into the next. There is no fast rules about it, but you will, at least as a facility manager looking at it, you will understand exactly what this is talking about. Now, outcome-based contract, it targets specific results like lean manpower, energy savings, cost efficiency. You are able to achieve that result, but at minimum manpower, it doesn't cost you much. In fact, the contractor is able to reveal areas of efficiency to you, the owner of the business. It rewards contract payments rewards and contract payment is based on key performance indicators which encourage innovation and sustainability. Once you're able to have some innovations come out of the contract you're giving. You're asked to deliver 6-kilometer road in 6 months. You deliver it in 5 months. And the assessment, the quality control shows that everything is standard. Everybody goes back to say, wow, if this could be done, what and what were done. And to your surprise, you find out that the contractor actually deployed less manpower for more efficient equipment. You find out that the contractor in diesel and electricity consumption, he consumed less. What caused it? So at the end of the day, you might even find the contract sum being not up to what was initially evaluated. And the company saves money and you reward the contractor. And everybody plus the facility manager who monitored through gets incentives. Normally, that's how it's supposed to be. Incentive-based contracts. This rewards contractors, and in most cases, all involved with incentives for achieving targets. You are rewarded, you achieve the targets. The airport has to be built in 2 years. And you guys kept to time, delivered it to the government. Incentives are given, things like bonuses for staff and promise of more contract or retainership to the contractor himself. Integrated contracts, a multitasking contract that bundles multiple expectations on one contractor. Like we just said, one contractor undertakes cleaning, security, deliveries, and even manpower recruitment. Live performance contracts, long-term performance, especially on things like machineries, buildings, and other long-term assets, production lines, and all that. A single multitasking contractor who undertakes and tracks things like maintenance, security, cleaning. No, sorry, I've missed that. Always that we are under live performance contract. It always focuses on assets, longevity. That's assets that have long-term lifespans, like the buildings. You cannot ask somebody to come and be the maintenance contractor for a 12-story building just for 1 year. 1 year, you practically will have to renew it because that 1 year not only has the contractor lengths of the structure and the characteristics of that building with knowledge which you want to retain, but you know that this is not something that you give 1 week or 2 months contract to execute. Task-based performance contracts that has specific tasks outlined in it with the expected outcome first before another consideration. You are expected to execute a particular phase of the contract before another will be awarded to you. You could be told to build a road from Victoria Island to the lagoon, but the government has the intention of building a bridge over the lagoon. They might not lump the contract together for you. They might not even let you know, but when you, from the outcome of the road, the quality you build from VI to the lagoon, we tell them if they also should give you the contract for the bridge. Now, service level contracts. In facility management, service level contracts, SLA, are service-oriented legal agreements between two parties, of which one is usually a facility management provider. It is a contract in which the level of service to be provided is defined with certain characters like A, service specific, B, performance level outline, C, service evaluation and monitoring, D, time specific, E, non-performance consequences. If they don't perform, there are consequences. In most cases, in service level agreement, is applicable to OEM, original equipment manufacturers, that they are look for specialties that will maintain those equipments. If you have prefabricated blocks, prefabricated buildings, or nowadays 3D printed buildings and all that, in your built up, and you are the one managing, you need special people who understand that to be the ones to manage it. Service level agreement allows you to get contractors that integrate their own professionalism, their knowledge of what they have given you. They could even be the same people that sold the equipment to you. Elements and structure of service level agreements. What should be included in SLA? State the business objective to be achieved in the provision of the service. Describe in detail the service deliverables. Define the performance standards in customer aspect. Expectations. Provide an engaging and ongoing reporting mechanism for measuring the expected performance standard. Provide mechanism for penalty and compensation. If there are damages, they will pay for it. You are giving them contract. Provide a mechanism for review and change to the service level over the course of the contract or over the course of time. So those are the elements that are involved in service level agreements, just like we've seen in performance-based agreements. Key points about contract execution and monitoring. Execution is the stage that begins once the contract is signed and legally binding. It involves initiating the agreed upon actions and deliverables. Monitoring, this involves continuously checking and reviewing the contract's progress, which lies squarely on the table of the facility manager. Even if you're not part of the team for the contract, make efforts to know what is happening on that contract. Why? Because at the end of the day, you'll be the one to manage the facility. You will be the one to manage. Tracking key dates and deadlines. When is a particular aspect supposed to be concluded? And what is supposed to be achieved at a particular time? Are there milestones that are expected? Performance evaluation. Assess whether the contractor is meeting the required quality standards and deliverables. Communication and reporting, very important, no matter what you're doing. Regularly communicate with the contractor regarding the performance and providing reports to relevant stakeholders. It doesn't mean that the contractor is performing very well, that you will not do your own regular evaluation and communicate accordingly. If he's doing well, report back to management that this contractor is performing. If it's not, report back to management, because most especially, if it's not performing, you will be fast to want to report to management. So also be fast to report if he is doing well. Identify potential issues that may arise, problems, and this is done when you monitor your own contracts and projects very, very well. Risk mitigation helps identify and address potential issues early if you do recognize them. If the facility manager is always hands on ground, hands on work, and legs on ground, and to minimize financial or legal risk. When you discover or you notice problems early and they are tackled, this minimizes financial loss because they are rectified, and also prevents legal going to court, which also costs money and time. Cost control help to optimize spending by monitoring performance against agreed upon pricing. Relationship management foster a positive working relationship between the contracting parties by maintaining clear communication and expectations and fostering that relationship. Like I said, communicating between your management, you are the middleman between your management and the contractor as a facilities personnel. Basis for contracts. Valid contract elements are mutual agreement. It must be mutually agreed. Two parties must agree for the contracts. Consideration, the exchange of something of value. Exchange of something for something. You are giving me service, I'm giving you payment. You're giving me goods, I am making payment for them. And not only are you giving me goods, you are giving me quality that must serve me. Competent parties, whoever signs the contract must be legally within your organization authorized to go into the signature of that contract, because putting pen to paper on that contract legalizes it and it binds you. Proper subject matter. The contract must have a lawful purpose and must be plain and clear what you want to achieve. Mutual right to remedy. In a contract, always there should be built embodied there, built into it, the provision for remedy. Anything can happen. Using our 6-kilometer road again, in the course of constructing it, if earthquake happens, or even if all provisions have been made, yet the kind of rain that fell in Lagos, which was not expected, falls and divides the road into two. That, I mean, we must be able, you and the contractor, you serving as the face for your organization and the contractor must be able to reach an agreement, which you will now pass to management and say, look, unfortunately, this happened. It's a natural disaster. If it's a natural disaster, so you cannot hold the contractor liable, at least not 100%. We must be able to reach an agreement. We must be able to have mutual agreement, discuss it. But if in the course of you supervising as a facility manager and you find out that the contractor is a callous person that does not even care, wastages and damages were caused by him, as well, make the provision and argument for non-payment. Agreement to enter the contract. Parties demonstrate that negotiations have ended and an agreement has been reached when the contract is signed. Take note. Contract negotiation guidelines, when you want to negotiate it and you are part of the team, which you should be as a facility manager, know when you need a signed piece of paper. It's not everything that must be contract. Certain things are done, just by verbally and executing, and that saves a lot of time in certain things. But be careful. Be careful not to rope your organization into a gentleman's agreement that is not necessary. Know what you are worth before negotiating. If you do not have the money to execute a contract, please do not say because maybe in Kebbi State, the governor has been able to build an airport, and you, in Kwara State, you do not have money to build an airport and you go into it. Know what you are worth before negotiations start. Research the client before you begin negotiating with them. As a facility manager, you research not only your own self, your organization, research the contractors that you want to go in contract with. Be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. Like we just discussed, in issue of natural disaster against a contractor, be reasonable to be alive to know that yes, there was nothing this person can do about it, because you do not know what will come up in future. You could also be in that such position. Listen to the potential client's needs. As a contractor, they should listen to you and know what you want. And you, as a facility personnel, listen to the two parties. What does the organization want? What can the contractor do or achieve? Communicate with care and guide your emotions. Do not bring your emotions into official dealings, irrespective of what. The contractor, you might be from your own point of view, might have underestimated or underpriced without him knowing. There are ways to communicate that without compromising your own organization. Don't be afraid to negotiate as a facilities person. Don't be afraid to negotiate. Do not take everything as a supermarket price, no matter what it is. Most especially when you are dealing in quantity-wise. You want to supply you restock your raw materials. You definitely buy raw materials in quantities. Be it iron billets that you need to use to make roofing sheets or nails. It's coming in quantities. Don't be afraid to negotiate no matter what the cost or the price has been placed on the goods or services. Don't rush it. If you're not there, it will be done. Tomorrow will always come. Don't rush it. When you rush a contract, you are likely to make mistakes. It's not about winning or losing. It's about achieving results. And what's that result? Goods and services at the right time, the right quality, the right price. Variation to contract, and you can vary contracts. It is important in contracts to include a provision that any change made to a contract are ineffective unless made in writing and signed. Now, you give a contract to somebody to build you a bungalow, 4-bedroom bungalow. And when the guy has gotten to about, the 3-bedroom, laying of, block work of the 3rd room, you come and say, no, I want to change it to 5 bedrooms. And then he asks, you want to change, first of all, there's already a variation. Because if he asks and he says, you want to change to 4 bedrooms by dividing one of the already constructed bedroom, and you say no, which means you want to take extra space, extra land, whichever way you go. If that provision was not on the original contract, you need to review. You must agree. This is known as variation clause and is intended to prevent informal or inadvertent oral variations. For variation to be effective, there must be a valid agreement between the parties, some form of consideration supporting the agreement. Two of you must agree. The consideration could take many forms, such as mutual abandonment of existing rights. Yes. If you had told the contractor that if you execute this 4-bedroom flat in 2 months, I'll pay you your money 100%. If you come and increase it to 5 or 6 bedroom, guy, the moment he gets to that 4th bedroom, you must pay him his money unless two of you have agreed that variation can come at any time and they will be mutually agreed. He can say, okay, no problem. Instead of you paying me when I get to the 4th bedroom, I'll finish it to the 5th or 6th. New benefits being granted by each party to the other party. Before a contract dispute gets to court, you might agree to, shift a bit. Look, in a contract, in a facility management contract, any of the parties could have offended each other. But the question is, do you want to go all the hop? You want to go all the way to court and make indemnities or not?
How are you doing?
We are fine, thank you. The parties assuming additional obligations if the contract is breached. There must be provision for that to agree to additional obligations. Now, execution of facility management contracts. Communication and reporting is important. Help clients to understand their stakeholder interests and needs for sustainability information. Improve relationship with clients. Build client support for achieving the facility management objective. Everything you have included in the contract will help you to achieve it. Regular communication we have already talked about. Individual quarterly meetings should be held. Monthly conference calls, if need be, open to all clients. Quarterly performance meetings should be held. Annual finance performance review, which is very, very crucial to you because that helps you to know what the contract is actually costing you. And the things you monitor are actual progress against work schedule, fulfillment of time frames and adherence to milestones, fulfillment of quality and quantity objectives, conformance to specifications. This is important as a facility manager. You must make sure what you people have set out is what you want. That is what you want. It's what the contractor is delivering. Conformance to service quality levels. Same. Conformance to standards must be maintained. Inspections, feedback, reports, audits, observation, call report, tests, and meetings are all that lies on the head of the facility manager. Helps you to budget your budget control in the contract. This is the ability to monitor and control the financial implications. Remember our profit and loss, which is where we are coming from, and why this project, why this aspect of facility management is on the head of the facility manager. So, detailed budget breakdown, regular cost reporting. The budgeting of the contract must be broken down into details, into segments. That's the way it will be easily understood, no matter how your financial acumen. If it's not broken down in details, you might even jumble up. In fact, you might find out that you have made expenses where you're not supposed to, or more than you are supposed to. Variance analysis, when you have variations, it must be well analyzed, articulated, and brought out on the surface that there were variations here. What is the variation? Mostly, there's always cost variation. In Nigeria today, what you bought 1 naira today, you are not even likely to buy 2 naira tomorrow, but maybe 3 or 5 naira. Corrective actions. That budget helps you. Even when, okay, you have erected a pillar that is supposed to be straight, but it is bent. Whose fault? When you do analysis and all that, your analysis will help you also determine who pays for that correction. Performance metrics like key performance indicators and cost performance indexes are helped by you budgeting. Monitoring facility management contracts. Ensure that there are sufficient funds to pay for all services. Note that. Ensure invoices are paid consistent with most favorable terms. Do not allow unnecessary inflation of invoices when it's not necessary, and do market survey and research for monitoring your facility management contracts. Identify low spending levels and raise reassignment of funds if appropriate. Where you have made savings and there are other needs, allocate them to it. Ensure that vendor payments are commensurate with level of goods and services received. No friendship, no familiarity. Everything is professionally based because money, everything we do, everything we say costs money. Review vendor invoices and follow organizational departmental standard procedures for processing payments. How often do you monitor? Frequently, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. Your monitoring of facilities as a facility manager is dependent on what the nature of the project, or the nature of the contracts. There are contracts that, in fact, there are contracts in which facilities manager is expected to have accommodation on site. Monitoring is very, very important because you cannot make your communication if you do not know what is happening. Any discrepancies in quality or timeline of work can be quickly addressed and resolved when you monitor your facility. Controls. Clearly define responsibilities. Implementing standardized templates. Once you have a template that is of standard, nobody falls out of it. That is a way of controlling the process. Responsibilities are clearly outlined. Who does this? Who does that? Who checks for this? Who does market survey? Who monitors the contractor? Who is on field? Who cross-checks what the contractor puts out as a report? Regularly auditing compliance and identifying key stakeholders to monitor contract execution and potential risk throughout the contract life cycle. Evaluating performance. The primary goal of performance evaluation system are to provide an equitable measurement of service delivery. Simple. It helps to obtain a high level of quality and quantity in the work produced. Steps of doing that. Develop an evaluation form that evaluates, you carry around duplicates You that does the evaluation at the end of the day signs, let the contractor sign. That authenticates it. Identify performance measures. Set guidelines for feedback. Communication feedback is very important. Even for a full-fledged facility department that had subordinates, there must be a clear-cut set line for the feedback to come back to you, the facility manager. There must be clear-cut set lines for you, the facility manager, to move and communicate with management. Create disciplinary and termination procedures without mercy. Once you evaluate, it reveals what is on ground. Should we cancel this contract? Should we terminate it and reassign to another contractor? Set an evaluation schedule, which is monitoring time. When do you do? Things to note when measuring performance, time and schedules. Will they keep the time and schedule? Were rewards and penalties affected? Are they all there and plain and white? And will they be applied? Contract closeout. A contract closeout occurs when a contract has met all the terms of a contract and all administrations have been completed. All disputes settled and final payment has been made. That is when you have closed the contract. Key points to note when setting out your performance measurement. Before performance measurement can be put in place, output specifications must be established and written out. That this is what's supposed to be out. This is what we expect at the end of the day. A good understanding of the organization requirements is essential. So you, facility manager, must understand your own organization. You must understand the need. And you must understand that every action taken costs money. So it adds to the profit and loss of the organization. The overall performance of a service provider can be determined by monitoring conformance to regulations and standards, quality-related and performance-related targets for service delivery, expenditure targets, time-related targets, interaction between customer and service provider. Contract specification, input or output specifications for facility management contracts. Input specification, client sets out in detail the exact service to be performed by the contractor. So you have input there. The output specification, clients could not prescribe how the contractor is to achieve performance standards set out in the specification. In most cases, a contractor, you have no idea what it takes to build a story building. You are not technically inclined in that area. You give room to the contractor to be the one to make the input, to specify to you what is required and how it should be. While the input on, you have idea, you know what you want, you dictate the tone. Here we go, contract fraud. This is an intentional deception made to gain an advantage or damage an individual. Don't collude with contractors. Don't even collude with your management when the wrong things are being done. Variety of illegal acts, deceit, concealment, violation to obtain money, property, or service. Avoid payment or loss of service. Secure personal or business advantage. How do you mitigate this? Before we talk of mitigation, let's talk of the types. Collusion, when you collude with the contractor to defraud your organization or collude with your colleagues to cost the organization money. Price fixing, when you inflate price, when invoices are put for different prices, only at the end of the day is found out that facility manager actually influenced those prices and inflated it. Non-competitive pricing, you are not able to do proper market survey and requests for proposals from different contractors and service providers. There is no competition. You only went to one source or somebody, or even the invoice, actually the bid actually originated from you, a different name, different company. Let's be careful as facility managers. It's tempting, but it's not good. It ruins you and ruins your reputation. irregularities during execution, things are not being executed properly by a contractor or a service provider, you, the facility manager, you can see it clearly, technically and otherwise, administratively, you can see things are wrong. Why are you not bringing it up? Why are you allowing it to go? And why do you not realize that when things work well, a facility manager can execute his facility, execute his responsibility, and have enough time in his hand to go and rest with himself and his family? Payment for work not carried out. Cartels. Why will you go and inspect a project and you found out that the 6-kilometer road we say will build has only 1 kilometer have been done, but because in the agreement we have said, okay, for every milestone attained, payment is made, you go back to your organization and sign in that 2 kilometers has already been completed and you request for payment. Cartels, do not form cartels that hold the organization to ransom. A situation where you go out to do market survey and you seem to find out as if, did they do meeting? Don't patronize such organizations. Now, how do you mitigate it? Segregate duties, segregate responsibilities, and have division of labor. Let one person, one personality or personnel be in one place for too long. Rotate them, move them around, and change duties. And before you can change or segregate duties, make sure you have given level playing field for trainings, as we are training today. Shifting staff, like I said, move them. Proper authorization, give a proper authority. If the HR is given the proper authority to hire and fire, then let it be so. And let it be executed when the need be. If the facility manager is the head of the committee of the contract and he's told to cancel or evict a contractor that is not performing, he should be allowed to do so. Competitive bidding. Once you do competitive bidding, you will minimize price fixing and you will minimize overpricing or underhand deals that will affect your company, because different people from different places will compete for the bidding and the tendering. Documentation and record keeping. You must keep record and keep. You find out that in most places, if something, a facility management is in charge of procurement and you procure something that's costing 3 naira, you procure them for 6 naira, you find it difficult to keep the documentation, because when he is not there and somebody else is sent to the field, you are exposed. But in an organized organization and where you are truthfully doing your job professionally, you must have documented and records. What it does, the good thing about it is that anybody that takes your seat and look at it know that a professional has been here. And what you have done will keep everybody in check. Whoever is coming after you, your subordinates will say, this is the way our boss does this job. We have better follow it through. Not only because management knows, but because that is the working secret. That's the secret that makes things work smoothly. And we live happily ever after. Change the order of control, rotate them once in a while, like we say. Shifting staff too. Budgetary control. Budget helps you to control your finances. Maintain it. Annual budget, weekly budget, monthly budget, quarterly budget. Let it be so, and try to capture all that needs to be captured in it. Contract dispute, we have discussed that. Now, common alternative dispute resolution. How do you resolve all these contract disputes and all that? Management escalation. You can move it to management level. When there is dispute, that look, the contractor is not performing or doing what? The cleaners are not just cleaning. Your contract in the cleaner is that cleaners must resume 6 a.m. in the morning and close 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening. But by the time you know it, cleaners are leaving 4. Meanwhile, your clients are still coming to the office and the office is dirty. Things you are not being allowed to face your core business because you have to go in between cleaner job. You move it to management level. Do we need these people? Do we change them? Do we move contractors? But when it gets beyond that and it's a more difficult thing, you move it to mediation. Mediation method is which parties reach a voluntary settlement with the help of a skilled facilitator, somebody skilled in that field, somebody knowledgeable, can come and assess everything being done and be able to spot where the problem is. And you people can reach amicable settlement, and the contractor may make the corrections and continue. When it goes beyond that, you go to arbitration, submission of disputes to one or more qualified, in most cases, learned personnel for a final and binding decision. Parties control the range of issues, the scope of the relief to be awarded, and many procedural aspects are within the control of both the contractor and your organization. Contract closeout, we have said it. A contract closeout occurs when contract has met all the terms of the contract that you people set out. All administrative actions have been completed. All disputes settled. Final payment has been made. That cannot be made if you, the facility manager who is in charge, have not, by the rights, you can see the biro and the paper, have not put pen to paper to give your order that this contract has been satisfactorily executed. Checklist for contract closeout. Issue entering contract completion statement. In organizations, it can be a certificate. In some organizations, this contract completion statement could just be a one-line statement in your email to the finance department or to the approving authority that this contract has been completed. Complete contract audit. You have done the audit. You know what was used. You know what is left. You know what has been handed over to you. You know what has been delivered. Ensure prime contractor has settled subcontractors. Very critical aspect. The fact that I engaged Julius Baja to build me that 6-kilometer road does not mean that Julius Baja is actually the only one doing it. The water that is being used might be subcontracted to a water contractor, a water dealer. In fact, the personnel to carry out the job, their artisans, and all that could also have been brought in by a subcontractor. But why does that affect you? It affects you because in your own organization, who are the ones that issued out the contract, you gave the contract to Julius Baja. If any of those subcontractors take up war against Julius Baja, not only might it delay the contract, which now in the long run affects you, it might get to the point of it affecting your own reputation as an organization. So in your contract closeout, you must make sure, confirm the main contractor, have you settled all the subcontractors? And in most cases, if you are not careful, the subcontractors will not take out their anger on the main contractor. They will take out their anger on your organization, block your office, picket your office, in any form, just to mess you up and mess up your reputation. You must not allow that. You must make sure every payment that's supposed to be paid. In fact, in the contract, you can also insert in the contract that payment to subcontractors will be paid directly from you, but the subcontractors are under the supervision of Julius Baja. Or payment to subcontractor will go through Julius Baja to them. Whichever way, it must be stated out. Complete price revision. If there was a revision of price or there needed to be, it must have been completed and documented before you can say the contracts have been closed. Review, submit contractors' final invoice and voucher so that they can be paid. Review it, submit it. Don't review it and go and keep it under your table, waiting for the contractor to come to your company several times or beg you or come and grease your palm or come and see you at home. It is professionally unethical. Ensure final voucher has been paid. Complete contractor funds review and obligate excess funds must be returned. It is not your own, it's not that of the contractor. Oh. This is an example of a contract review templates, annual performance template, annual or periodic performance review templates are used in different project services or activities to show the progress or performance level of different aspects of a contract. You can draw up your own in your own way, depending on the nature of the contract and, of course, your management thinking. This is a type of review templates. Go through it. The contract agreement templates, go through it. You can always get them. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, we hit it 7 on the dot, 2 hours. No penalties. I hope I was audible enough, and I hope I'll be able to deliver the stuff to you. And I hope you, as my able students, were able to get what we discussed today. Any ambiguities? We have a few minutes for question, but I should be hitting the road by now. Justice, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Thank you. So, Daniel Equere. Daniel Equere's hand is up.
Yes,
Go ahead.
thank you very
Shoot.
much. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed the class and the in-depth analysis in procurement and contracting.
Thank you. Don't
My
patronize me. I'm not a woman.
question, most of the time, the contractor,
Yeah.
you gave a supplier contract, and the time frame, sometimes the supplier could not meet up with the time frame.
Yep.
And if you decide to cancel the supplier and go for another one, you're going to waste a lot of time. Then you end up say, let me wait for this contractor instead of going to another, start the process again. What can you put in place? Measure can you put in place to avoid this contractor not be able to meet up with the time frame? How do you manage that situation?
That's why we said some situations, we say it's not everything that's written in black and white. Some situations could be natural cause, due to natural cause. I always say facility managers, you must dirty your hands and legs. What do I mean? You must go to the field to understand what is happening. No matter your level as a facilities manager or a facility personnel, facility director and all that, you must know what the market is saying. You must know. Let me take your own example. If you have given somebody a contract to supply you stationery for the office to use, and you know you need this within the week, 1 week, for the office to continue to run. Because like I said, the office leans on the facility department, and you might be in charge of procurement as well. If the guy is telling you he cannot supply, my question is, before you gave this guy the contract, did you do your market survey? If you did your market survey is not by mouth. It's not by just telling people come and bid for this. If you take the pains once in a while to go into the market yourself, you're not going to buy. You're just going to check how is the price and all this, all that. When somebody comes and tells you what the market is saying, you have a rough idea. All you need to do is plus or minus 1 or 2 on top or reduce, and you have an idea. So if the person comes and tells you, I can't supply, and you say, what is the reason? And the person gives you outlandish reason. The person could have taken the contract and gone to bury his mother or father out of town, but will not tell you, I'm going to use your money. So if he tells you, I can't supply you, they said that the 80 grams paper that you require are not in the market, and you step into the market and you see 80 grams, you wouldn't believe that. So you are at liberty to want to cancel that contract if you are taking money, and that is why we say, keep your hands clean. Everything must be formal. There must be communication channel. Approval levels must be there. If that money, maybe you paid an upfront, you may pay the mobilization, certain percentage, it must have gone through certain approval levels. It is not something you decided in your office to pay. Simply go back to management, follow that same level to make your report, to be on the safe side. But what I'm saying is, practically, what he's telling you, does it align with what you know in the market? But the question is, do you know? So let us make it effort. We facility managers, let's just have idea of what is happening in real life. If you give somebody 20-story building to construct in Ikoyi, and then all of a sudden the person tells you, we can't construct, so all of a sudden, as we were digging the foundation, we found out that Ikoyi is a waterlogged area. Hello, who doesn't know Ikoyi soil is waterlogged? What are you talking about? So he just doesn't have the capacity and capability, doesn't have the knowledge. So you might have gone into that contract, yes, without knowing his inefficiencies. But the fact is that if the clause is in that contract, you are free to follow the clause of the contract. As if you don't deliver so and so with so and so quality, you cut the contract, cut the umbilical cord so that you move on. So it happens, but you can only tackle such with you having knowledge. So that's why I said at the beginning, a facilities manager, a facilities management practitioner must be able to answer yes, must know little lot of practically everything. I don't know if I'm clear. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so go and find out why. If it is something that you have access to the resources, to the services or the products that you want, go and find out. Send another third party, send somebody from your office, go and do market survey and find out what's happening before you now react. Again, it could truly have had a problem. And that is where that mutual shifting of ground comes in. Understand? I've had a situation where we paid for service to be delivered. The person was involved in accident, but the person wanted to maintain his reputation and all that. And while in the hospital bed, he actually gave the contract out to somebody else to supply, who did not supply. Who did not supply. But what made us, at least, to be able to manage things is that we found out truly why he did what he normally doesn't do. That truly he was involved in an accident. Van de Farm, Mr. Vim, your hands are up. I hope I didn't murder your name.
No, it's not sorry. Good evening, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. Sir, I just have this question. We were talking about fixed contract, fixed price contract, where the price is fixed. So now,
sorry.
in our country, where is hello?
Sorry,
Yes,
please, can you take that again and be a bit more audible? Sorry.
okay, no, I said we were talking about fixed price contract.
Fixed price contract.
Yes. Now,
Okay.
looking at from the explanation, what
our
I
country.
just want to, in line with our country inflation that is always on the rise and all, how can we now manage this particular kind of contract?
Thank you very much. At least you know what is happening in the country. And that's what I said. A facility manager must know, must be able to answer present somewhere. Now, everything we have done here, or studied today, is assumed lies on the head of the facility manager. Before that contract is even gone into, it is based on the advice of you, the facility manager. Yes. You understand me? So yes. You cannot, knowing, like you rightly said, and I'm happy you said, knowing what is happening in our country today, and that's why I said, look, facility manager, just learn everything. No, be jack of all trades, even if you're a master of none. But you can always answer present in each whenever you're called. So knowing what is happening today, the best thing to avoid such contract is not to advise, is to advise management. And a facility manager will be recognized and you will have authority when you talk with authority, when you speak with facts, when you practically present to management that you know your salt. So in that case, management have no choice than to listen to you. So in your case, in what you have, this is a real life situation. From the beginning, you will advise management against that. Now, if the services is required that urgently, I mean, that is very, very necessary. And you find out that, look, it's only this kind of fixed contract that will solve this problem. Then it becomes necessary for you in the contract and for the contractor to set out achievable goals within a specific time. In that way, what you're doing is that you're trying to avoid inflation affecting, in most cases, it is delays that affect. There's just a situation, there's a case. In fact, this was last week. I am one of my professional friends, were discussing. They went to a furniture company last week, Monday, and got invoice for a particular chair and came back. By the time the process of approval was done, it was Thursday. They went with money to pay, only for them to find out that it has been increased. The price for that chair has been increased by 15%. If you like it, come and buy. If you like, don't buy. That is the market. So everything to be done in this case lies 99% on the facility manager's advice to management. Lies on facility manager's advice to management. So these are the kind of things that promotes you, the facility manager, your ability to display your professionalism, not only in knocking with hammer and nail, but in writing, in thinking outside the box, in communicating. On that aspect, we rest the issue of outcome-based contracts. Because you have done this course, you can as well advise management. Let's move to any other of the types of performance-based contract.
Okay.
That is it. You can go for the task-based, in which contracts has specific tasks outlined in it with the expected outcome first before another. So in that way, when you have executed that contract, if you're going into the next level or any other one, you will now do that based on also the prevailing costs of goods and services. Thank you. Mr. Pere Luis.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, sir.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the lectures.
Thank you, sir.
Please, I want you to help me with some key negotiation strategies that are unique for procurement management.
You know that procurement management is a course on its own.
You're right, sir.
What's the nature of your business or your organization?
I'm into real estate.
Okay. So what aspect in that is the procurement aspect that really gives you issue?
Not like there are issues. Well, right now I have some properties that actually needs serious renovations,
Okay.
maintenance in Lagos.
Okay.
So it will have to do with a lot of procurement.
Beautiful. Well, the question, okay, if you ask me, the first thing, now you said properties, obviously not one, not two.
Yes.
There are many. And I think if you will go with me, what you will do is assess these properties. I want to believe that utilities are part of the problem. Plumbing, water.
You're right.
Good. Electricity, consumption, or is it the aspect of installations and all that, or even replacement, repairs and maintenance?
A whole lot.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm also suspecting that these properties are not concentrated in one point. They are in different parts of Lagos. Am I right?
Yes, you're right, sir.
That is what is actually giving you the biggest headache, because you are looking at getting different contractors in those different areas to go and solve these problems. But you are just one person. You will die before you're able to monitor all this in different places. So now also, if we look at integrated contracts on this matter, I do not know, because what we are looking at in this case, is a professional organization that handles handles utilities, handles plumbing, HVAC, handles electricity, and even handles solid wall work, block works, and all that maintenance.
Yes.
So if you can, I don't know, but it's possible if you take an advert in paper requesting for an organization that can take that. That is one aspect. But you might also be looking at the cost implication, not really the cost, the administrative implication of all that one.
Yes.
And you are tempted to just go out to look for a plumber to do the job. But if you are the one that's handling all these properties, I think uniformity is important and it makes life easy for you. If you can get one person and you give the person, look, this is the standard I want. We all should know. When it comes to plumbing, in fact, practically everything, toilets and toilet seats are different qualities and costs.
Yes.
Plumbing materials, pipes are different qualities and costs. And I know thinking of all this is giving you headache. But why don't you put a standard and get people, if I can say, people specifically for your plumbing repairs and work, people specifically for your electrical, and let it be people who will not only repair or make sure there is light in that building, but people who understand the metering process. The metering process. But you also have a major job of monitoring and evaluating these properties regularly. Because what you have done now is reactionary. If you monitor and evaluate regularly, you will apply proactive measures, not reactive measures. And that is what kills us most in Nigeria. If you apply proactive measure, which you cannot do if you don't monitor, which you cannot do if you don't assess, which you cannot do if you don't evaluate. So you either have a manager that constantly goes to all this. In fact, there is no building where the landlord or landlady does not have the right, giving the tenant a reasonable time to enter and assess everything to know if they are in order. Fixtures and fittings, everything, even on situations where you have a fully built up building and equipped and rent out. The ornamentations and all that need to be regularly monitored to see they're being used rightly. So go back to the drawing board. Try and put all this down, all these to do things. Try, look at your property as you say. If you can get one professional body to not take this burden from you, you evaluate everything, you go into contract, but you must know the cost of things in the market. So that when they come, you can be able to also negotiate, have the negotiating ability. Alternatively, if they are so distributed in such a way that maybe, or you find it difficult to get one integrated contractor, try and get different contractors, but it makes your monitoring more tedious, but must be done. Must be done. And then follow through. I don't know if my own way of my approach will help you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir. No other hand up, please. Am I permitted to fall out?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I've checked through. I didn't see any other hand. All right, all. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening. Thank you all.
very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope some of you will come for the physical class. It will be a refresher for you. All right, take care.
Thank you very much,
sir. Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining today's class. Have a wonderful evening. Please do well to submit your assessment. It will be opened soon.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And you too. Yeah.
Right.